Welcome to the Doc G Show, a radio show cluster. Without further ado, critics have said he has the face for radio and a voice for silent films. Your host, Ben Doc G Gordon.
And we are on the air. Welcome to Doc G Show. I'm your host, Doc G. With me back in the saddle for the second time in a row, none other than Claude Fly Till I Die Lathan.
Say what?
What's going on, man? What is this, 2 out of 3 weeks? Or something like 2 out of 4 weeks? 3 out of 4 weeks?
3 out of 4.
There we go.
4.
Oh,
yeah.
man, I love it. I'm so happy to be back, and we're going to have another rock star show for everyone today.
It's good stuff, man. It is good stuff. It feels like old times.
Yeah.
Feels
man,
like
this
old
was
times.
8 years ago, you know? It was every week.
2006, 17, yeah, so 7 years. 7 years ago. Claude, speaking of sort of old times, I took a trip this weekend.
Yeah.
Went up close to your neck of the woods.
And you didn't call me.
Well, I wasn't that close. I was about an hour and a half away.
Okay.
So I went up to see a golf tournament.
Oh, did you go to the Heritage?
I did.
Nice. I had a
did.
couple of friends go. What'd you think?
It was probably one of the most old white person things I've done. But it was nice. It was enjoyable. I can't really. It got rained out on Sunday, but what can you do?
Yeah.
But I had some. I got to drive up, so it's like 5 hours to drive up, and I had some thinking time, and some driving time.
Yeah, it's a good time to do your thinking.
Just me and the open road, And it made me realize, Claude, I think this show needs to invest in billboard advertising.
Sweet.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I think anywhere I go, people are always talking about the show anyway, but a little bit of extra advertising never hurts.
Yes!
I mean, old school. What a perfect way to be ignored. Am I right, Claude? Just a giant sign with our logo on it as people drive by not paying attention. Because I was sort of thinking about it. I was like, are there any people besides me that actually look at billboards?
Nope.
I mean, they're obviously there. But I feel like if I did a survey with billboards and pulled over cars immediately after they passed a billboard and was like, hey, was that billboard advertising? 999 cars out of 1,000 be like, I don't know.
That's a fact.
Dildos?
What?
I got nothing. I don't know what
But
it is.
there are specific. I feel like there's specific billboards that you do remember.
They'll
like
catch
growing
your
up,
attention.
is it like south of the border? You remember those?
Oh, of course.
They were like
Of
every
course.
mile.
For like 500 miles
Yeah.
on both sides.
Yeah, like I remember those. Maybe that's what we need is every mile for 500 miles, just Doc G show.
And they'd be like, where is this? Where are we going? Oh, no. It's a show. But we just wanted you to see it over and over and over again. That is, listeners, if you don't know what south of the border is, it was the weirdest place. It was basically just like a souvenir shop / amusement ride oddity place.
Flea market, maybe?
Yeah, there's a flea market there, and when you rode up to it, it had the skankiest look ever. And you just saw these signs, literally, for like 200 miles. They had to have some kind of deal with the different billboard people. There's no way they could have afforded all of those,
Buy
crazy.
500 billboards, get 5% off.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But you were saying like there are particular billboards that you remember,
Mm-hmm.
And I was drawn in by a couple of billboards as I was driving. And not really because they were that good, but because they were a little weird and not that good. The first one, Claude, I saw a public service announcement about pre-diabetes. Which, very important, way too prevalent in society today. So here was their game plan. They put up just statistics of pre-diabetes at the top. In America, 1 in 3 people have diabetes. I was like, oh, that's not good. They then compared that. Right below it, they had another statistic that people, they compared it to something that people are concerned with that, you actually don't need to be concerned with because it's a very low chance of occurring, And they compared it with being struck by lightning.
What? That is weird.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that would stand out. I guess that they accomplished what they were trying to do.
A little bit, but I was like, I see what they were going for, but at the same time, I was like, don't you think you should go with a more prevalent fear? Like, I don't think anybody's out there like, oh, I'm going to be struck by lightning today. Like, I don't think that's a big worry that people have. I think they should have something like airplane being attacked by a terrorist. That's, that strikes fear in people, but it doesn't happen that often.
Right.
It's a very low thing. I will say, though, Claude, after I saw that, I didn't become interested in pre-diabetes. I did become interested in lightning statistics. And
yeah. Have you ever seen videos of people be struck by lightning?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very entertaining YouTube session.
Wait, what?
I'll tell you something that's crazy, Claude. I didn't think this. What do you think how many people do you think get struck by lightning in America per year?
Per year? 37.
270.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they out there with a balloon and a key?
Yeah, I guess. That's what I said. I was like, man, that seems high. Yes! That seems like a lot of people. But even more amazing to me, Claude, was only 10% of those people die.
Lightning's weak.
90% survival rate for being struck by lightning. That's way better odds than I thought. I think there should be a take-home message on this billboard. Another public service announcement that says, avoid pre-diabetes. And if you get struck by lightning, good news, there's only 10% chance of you dying. Like, you've got a better chance of dying from bird flu than being struck by lightning. There you go.
That's crazy. Over 200 people per, like, again, what are, like, you're with your significant other. Hey, babe, you want to go out on a date night tonight? Let's go hold some silverware up in the sky.
I was about to say, you seem to be holding that golf club up real high. Yeah, don't worry about it. I should be fine. I'm not worried. Like, yeah, it's a little, I don't know. But there was one other billboard, Claude, that got me. I was driving, and this one was even, I don't know if it's more interesting, but it was interesting too. It's another public service announcement. And this one simply said, big old letters, syphilis can kill your baby.
Oh, specifically the baby.
Yes. And at the bottom, it had a little STD check and the website, And I was like, I got to be honest, Claude. If I were making this billboard, I might make a slight modification. Like, syphilis can kill your baby. Also, it's not a picnic for you. Like, just like, wouldn't you be concerned? Like, both? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too conceited in my own well-being, but I don't know.
They're trying to use a fear tactic that, hey, you don't get syphilis because if you do and you have a baby, that baby's gonna get it too.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously this is an issue, or else they wouldn't make a billboard for it. At least.
Did you look up the statistics on that?
I didn't want to. That I felt like there might be. I felt like there might be pictures, Claude. I couldn't take that one. That was a little bit too much. But
don't blame you.
But like I was thinking, I was like, when your life isn't going that like you planned it, if your life is going poorly, you could consider the alternative in this billboard and say, well, at least that's not going on in my life. That's all right. That's pretty solid, So listeners, when we finish this show and you guys go, man, That show was pretty lame. Keep in mind, at least you don't have syphilis with the chance to give it to your kid. All right? That's
a fact.
That's the take-home message, I think.
That's a pretty big deal.
That's a pretty big positive in your life. All right? That's a pretty huge positive. When it comes down to it, I think that's pretty much all you can ask for from a radio show like ours.
Yeah.
You
we
know?
only encourage the best, health, nutrition. Don't
Amen.
get struck by lightning.
Avoid syphilis.
Avoid syphilis.
Yes. Claude, are you ready to fire this show up?
Let's fire it up.
All 3 engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and lift off.
All right, I got 5 new billboards in South Carolina as we speak. People are driving by them. They're going to be like, you know what? I should probably listen to this show. Yes, you should, because we have a fantastic show, Claude. We have the amazing musician William Clark Green on the show. Oh my gosh, this guy is a Texas legend, this guy. For like the last 18 years, 4 out of the top 5 listening locations on Spotify, Texas.
So true.
I feel like if you go around Texas with him, you got to take a lot of time to be signing autographs.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot going on. He's got his own festival in Lubbock called the Cotton Festival coming up here this summer. And if you're wondering, yes, it does raise money for cotton farmers. So there you go.
That's
there
cool.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to talk about it all. Can't wait. But first, we need to start where we start. The birthday suit.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Oh, no. Redemption time.
That's right. Claude, if we add up your 3 last or your 2 last appearances on the show, you're now 4.5 out of 6.
Yeah.
You had
it's been murky waters, but I'm going to do my best.
I'm confident on this first one, no question. I think you got this one. Born on April 24th, 1982, born in Fort Worth, Texas. She was the winner of the first American Idol and has songs like Since You've Been Gone and Because of You. Name that birthday Sue wearer.
Kelly Clarkson.
There it is.
Yeah. Put it on the board. 1 for 1 today.
Nice.
Since you've been gone, I don't care how old you are, who you are. It is an ageless, timeless song.
Mm-hmm. I'll agree with that. That's where she hit her stride on that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that whole album. That was the album Breakaway, because I mean,
oh yeah,
Because of You, that was a jam too. That was a jam. Before that she was Miss American Idol, Yeah.
Was she she sang was it Miss Independent?
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, on the show.
Yeah. She beat out old Justin Guarini.
That's right.
I remember we on the show, actually. This was I want to say it was about 8 months ago, somewhere in that ballpark. I can't remember exactly. But me and I brought it up at the start of the show because I was thinking about it, because I was talking to somebody that's a young buck that's in their early 20s. They've never known a life without American Idol.
That's
their
crazy.
whole life. They've only known American Idol. And I was like, that's so weird. I was like, but then again, I mean, there's a lot of things that they've only known life with, and American Idol is one of those things. And I thought it was so bizarre when it first came out.
It was, and that was the cool thing about it was it was ahead of its time. And now look at all the shows that are out it. The Voice, and you could go on and on. But I mean, that second season too, it was I remember that one very well. That one was Clay Aiken and Ruben Studdard, and you had the early goats of American Idol like Fantasia and these big names that went on to do Jordan Sparks, I believe. But yeah, that was what I remember. It was kind of like Survivor back then. Everybody would get together as a family and watch it. It was a big thing, and there wasn't streaming shows or networks or anything like that. It was hey, we're booking this at the time slot. we're all getting together and eating dinner, and this is what we're doing.
I don't know, who would you say is bigger, Carrie Underwood or Kelly Clarkson? Who came out on? I mean, I think Carrie Underwood's bigger on music. I think maybe just in like name because of her talk show and because she was on The Voice too. It might be Kelly Clarkson. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Kelly Clarkson has a more broad portfolio.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, you can't go wrong with either one.
Kelly Clarkson, that broad portfolio, she has been on number one on the pop charts, the adult contemporary, the adult pop, the country, and the dance charts.
Whew.
Only artist in history to do that on all those charts. So there you go.
She's
There
great.
you go. Turning 42 for Kelly Clarkson. There we go. Claude, you ready to rip some headlines?
Let's rip it.
It's now time for Rip from the Headlines.
Claude, this headline is for you. Did you see Nikola Jokic's brother apparently punched another spectator after Denver won against the Lakers Monday night?
Yeah, look, I finished the game, right? Now, first off, for the listeners, if you didn't watch the game, we're not going to go into the whole specifics of the game. But if you didn't watch it, I highly recommend try and watch. It was a great game. Both of them, the doubleheader, the night was awesome.
Oh yeah.
But I finished watching this game. Lakers fans are in, they're distraught. Yeah. They're in disarray. They're shocked. I get on Twitter. The app formerly
X,
known as Twitter.
Yes.
Now X. And I get on and I'm looking through all these highlights and what all the celebrities are saying. And then within all these posts, I just see one post of Nikola Jokic's gigantic brother after the game ends, go down 2 or 3 rows and pop some guy in the face.
Oh.
And apparently they're investigating it now.
Yeah.
But, oh, man, the guy, I don't care what anyone says to you. I really don't. You're the brother of Nikola Jokic. Get the guy thrown out of the game or something.
Real quick, if the listeners haven't seen Nikola's brother, just picture Jokic with more muscles and more tattoos, and that's Strange Jokic. It's a frightening sight.
One of the last people that I would want to get punched by.
Yeah, I got to be honest. On the list of folks I'm not starting a fight with, Strange Jokic is really high on the list. Like, what are you doing taunting this massive, scary man? It's basically like going up to a grizzly bear and slapping him in the face and be like, he won't do anything. That's fine. But to his credit, the guy that he punched stayed on his feet.
I was waiting to see if you brought it up. He took it like a champ.
He stayed on it. He just like looked up. I think he was a little dazed. Like he was just like, but he then like got his stuff and just like slowly started moseying on to the left. And I was like, all right. And the crazy part was it was sort of like a warning shot from Strahinja too, because he didn't do anything. He just sort of punched him once and then just sort of sat there and stared at him as he walked off. And I was just like, all right.
I think, he's such a large human that I think for you and I, it looked like, and most people, it looked like a punch, right? But I think for his size, it was more of a baby tap. I think
just
that,
a little slap. Yeah.
For you and me, it's a punch. For him, it's a baby tap.
Yeah.
And I think after he did it, he just looked at the guy like, are you going to keep talking?
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, it is sort of like with a grizzly bear when they give him a little slap, and then they're like, is that thing alive? Whack.
What's the old Dave Chappelle? Okay. What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
Slap. Yeah. Oh man, it was. But I'll tell you, those guys are unruly. You gotta watch out for his 2 brothers. Those guys are. I'm a little bit worried about him. His brother's hearing me say he looks unathletic on this show. He looks athletic, guys. I'm just saying. It's just man. Woof, yikes. Speaking scary moments, Claude. There was a scary moment at Chicago University. Madeline, they didn't give her last name, which is understandable. Madeline was walking home from class when a man in a ski mask walked up to her, which isn't a good look. That's always got my alarm going off immediately when I see somebody wearing a ski mask.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not the dead of winter. On the 5600 block of South University, he walked up to her and asked Madeline to give him her phone. That's literally the words that it has in the story, Claude, which I like. Ask her, excuse me, madam, could I have your phone, please? Then he flashed a gun at Madeline, showed her the good, showed her the piece, you know? And Madeline said, here's what she said, quote, he's grabbing for my phone and I'm kind of pulling it behind my back. Madeline then grabs the guy's gun.
Oh.
Grabs the magazine out of the gun and throws it into a bush.
Wait, what?
And the man ultimately just got the phone from Madeline's hand and then sprinted off. Which
did he leave the magazine?
Yeah, he left the magazine, which
wow.
The police came, found the magazine, and of course, you know, it's 2024, so it took like 10 minutes for him to find the phone and the guy, and he got arrested. But, you know, Claude, the story ends with Madeline. The story ends here with the guy getting arrested and finding out that Madeline was one of 3 University of Chicago students robbed at gunpoint on Wednesday of last week.
Jeez. Man. Yeah, I mean, Chicago violence is not great. But I got to say, shout out to Madeline for going full John Wick on this guy. Just, could you imagine that's what you think? To take the magazine out and throw that?
No, because I'll tell you, if a dude walks up to me and flashes a gun, you win. You want my phone? Yeah, you can have it. Here you go. Like I don't want to carry it anyways. I never liked this thing. Go for it. Like, just, are you kidding me? Like, tell me, there's also not better evidence that phones are like narcotics for most people. This guy has a gun and tries to take the phone, and she's like, I'll take my chances. Let me see if I can get that thing back. Like, what?
Is the phone that important? Like you said, it's 2024. You could track the phone down immediately, get some help, and get them to shut off the I mean, to risk your life for the cell phone.
That's the same reaction a crack addict has when somebody tries to steal their crack, man. That's not like, come on now. But third, like, if you're the robber and that's your performance,
that's pretty bad.
You might want to look into another profession.
What would you grade that?
It's in the D range, I think, Claude. I don't know. I'm not saying Madeline wasn't a worthy adversary, because she obviously was. I'm just saying she's not a ninja with a katana. Like, you're not.
Yeah. The only reason it's not an F is because he ended up with the phone.
He did end up with the phone. He was missing his weapon afterwards, and a unsuspecting lady took it from him. A lady that was not prepared to do anything, was just like, give me that, you moron. There we go. Throw that into the woods. Lastly, Claude, like you mentioned, 3 students being robbed at gunpoint on the same day. I'm no marketing whiz, but I would definitely say if the college wants to advertise, they should avoid this in the brochures for the school. Like, that's not a...
Full circle, if there's any billboards out there, let's not put that on it.
No. Like, it's one of those introductory things on the first day. Welcome to University of Chicago. I want you to look to the person to your left. Now look to the person to your right. Odds are all 3 of you will be robbed at gunpoint someday together. Like, that's not good. It's not good at all.
There's a higher chance of you being robbed than struck by lightning.
Oh man, watch out. Watch out. And there probably is, honestly, on that campus. Claude, I've got a story, a goofy criminal story here from Florida.
Yeah.
So, Florida couple, they're in some hot water here because they tried to get $1 million prize with a fake $50 scratch-off ticket.
What?
Now,
You
technically,
gotta risk it
wasn't
to get the
fake.
biscuit, right?
Well, technically, it wasn't fake. It was 2 real tickets that, as the article puts it, they unskillfully put together. So they decided they were going to go into the lottery offices and say, yep, this is my ticket. Money, please. And as the news puts it, the lady was really committed that actually went into the office. So they said she turned the ticket into the Florida lottery office in Pensacola. The folks working in the office immediately knew this was a fake ticket. They went back to her and they said, are you willing to say you're the owner of this lottery ticket? Which, let's stop right there, Claude. If they say that, that's where you know the jig's up. Just go ahead and be like, nah, I'm good. Now I found that on the street. Never mind. I'll see you guys later. Like, the jig's up if they say that. But she said, yes. And then they said, are you willing to sign an affidavit stating the ticket is real and you acknowledge the penalties of perjury if caught lying? And she said, yes.
Word.
You got to know the jig's up there. You got to know. But they were even like, they're pretty much willing to give her a pass. Like, they hadn't prosecuted her or anything at that point. She then came in, though, a week later trying to cash in on the $1 million. She's like, hey, haven't got my $1 million prize yet. Girl, come on. And officials at that time gave her another pass. They were like, if you look at this, it's 2 different tickets. This ticket has a serial number on it. This one has a different one on it. And you're trying to tell us they're the same ticket. The back of the ticket, the words on the back of the ticket don't even line up. They don't go together, what it's saying. And she was like, no. No, that's a ticket. That's a ticket that I got. Like, come on, Claude.
Yeah, how many more chances do you need? That's as many freebies as you can possibly get.
And I don't know. Like, I feel like if somebody would have came up to me with this idea, I would have been like, I don't know, man. I feel like money is sort of the lottery's business. I don't think they're just going to haphazardly give us $1 million.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to just write $1 million winning ticket on this piece of paper and be like, there you go. And they're going to be like, yep, that looks good to us. There you go. Like,
yeah, they sit back and say, like you said, yeah, are you willing to say that this is that you are the sole individual owner of this ticket? And she says, well, I signed it already. Don't you see?
Yeah, come on now. Like, just ridiculous. Claude, did you see the most recent Drake diss track?
I heard some things about it. I don't know a ton about it though.
Yeah, well, Drake, he's been on a dissing rampage. Apparently, there were some disses back and forth. You know, there was a little bit. They were a little clicky there for a while of like J. Cole and Kendrick and Drake, and then apparently it just got volatile, and they all had to diss each other. And Drake released a diss track really focused at Kendrick Lamar. That was the diss track this time. And the really interesting part was that he used an AI-generated Tupac verse and an AI-generated Snoop Dogg verse in the song.
Word.
I don't like that already.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg's still alive. Why not just use the real Snoop Dogg?
Yeah,
And then Tupac, did you get approvals from the family? Like, I don't know.
That's exactly what I was saying, Claude. I was like, I get the Tupac. Then okay, I get it. Like, but like you said, you're probably crossing some lines.
Yeah.
But I get it. But Snoop, he's alive. He's out there doing Corona commercials with Eli Manning. Like,
did he comment on it? He did. Yeah. What did he say?
Hey, he basically he did what you'd think Snoop Dogg did. He had this video at night that was like he was basically like talking to no one. He was like, They did what? With who? They didn't get approval? Okay. All right, I'm going to sleep, y'all. Night. Like that was the, like, which like, but like that's the thing is you said go get the live version of Snoop, and I got to be honest, like having Snoop Dogg on your diss track now, like that's like the equivalent of recruiting Willie Nelson for your diss track. It's not gonna be the same, you know. You got this fun-loving old school dude there, and it's not gonna. So just like leave him out of it, man. Leave it.
Makes me wonder what Drake was thinking to put him in there.
I think I'm sort of like yourself, Claude. I haven't really listened to it I listened to like 2 seconds. Was like, all right. But like I got a feeling since it's Kendrick Lamar, he was trying to get like two legends of West Coast hip hop and be like, these are the real deal West Coast hip hoppers. I think that was the like
I could see that,
mindset. But
do you have a dog in the fight here? Do you have a person that you
not really like
favoring?
I do not really. Like I think Drake panders a lot. I definitely think that. Like I think he panders to anyone that he thinks can get him more fans, which I totally don't fault. I can see why you do it, but like he like as you know, losing artistic value, I think sometimes he's willing to do that for the fame. But
he seems like a pretty big bandwagon guy. You know, like I'm not saying musically. I know that he's phenomenal musically, but I think he's ridden a lot of coattails of other people's success as well that has helped influence his own. But like you said, to gain followers and people that love him. I've never seen Drake in concert, but I have seen Kendrick Lamar in concert, and you know, he goes, I think his stage name, one of them is Kung Fu Kenny.
Right.
Man, he was awesome in concert. So I don't know enough, like I said, about the situation, but I will say if I had to stand on one side or the other, I'm going to go stand over with Kendrick.
I'm
Claude's taking a side.
Claude's picked a side. He's with Kung Fu Kenny. You know
Kung Fu Kenny, we're requesting you to come on the show. Let's talk about it.
I was about to say, in the same path as Drake, listeners, tell me who I'm for. Whoever you prefer me to be on, that's the side I'm on.
What bandwagon can I hop on?
Exactly. I don't really care. But anyways, Claude, we need to take a break. We are going to hear from William Clark Green. We will be right back here on the Doc G Show. And we are back here on the Doc G Show, Spinnaker Radio, WSKRLP 95.5 FM in Jacksonville, Florida. Yes! Claude, the listeners need to subscribe to the show. You know?
I'm surprised they haven't already.
Yeah. If you're listening now and you haven't subscribed to the show, shame on you. Thank you for listening. But shame on you for not subscribing. That's you're like a yin and a yang for me right now. I'm very happy with you for listening, but I'm very upset with you for not subscribing. So do that, and while you're doing that, tell a friend to do that as well. You can subscribe on Apple. You can subscribe on Spotify. You could subscribe on SoundCloud if you want to follow on SoundCloud. You could subscribe on YouTube. You know what? You could do all four of those, and that would make me a very happy man, Claude. A very happy man.
I can feel the energy right now from the listeners, and they are actively subscribing as we speak.
That makes me happier than my dad when he sees a new pie.
That's a fact.
My dad loves pie, Claude. He's a big fan.
I guess it depends on the pie.
Any type of pie he loves. Doesn't matter. You put any apple pie, fruit pies, cream pies, coconut cream pie, chocolate cream pie. I'm going to turn into the Bubba Gump of pies here in a second. You don't even know.
That's a fact.
Listeners that are under the age of 35, that was a reference to Forrest Gump, in case you were wondering.
I would hope everyone's seen Forrest Gump.
Yeah, listeners, if you haven't subscribed and you haven't seen Forrest Gump, do it in that order. Subscribe and then go watch Forrest Gump.
We're both critically acclaimed.
Very, very true. We have won the same amount of awards as Forrest Gump. I'm pretty sure that's true. Yeah. Claude, we need to thank the 5-star listeners. Here we go.
Shoutouts.
Shout out to Jacksonville, Florida, Columbia, South Carolina, Radford, Virginia, Gainesville, Florida, Frankfurt, Germany, Anoka, Minnesota, Ashburn, Virginia, Piracai, Brazil, San Diego, California, Dublin, Ireland, Boardman, Oregon, Genoa, Italy, Richmond, Texas, Barcelona, Spain. No, Claude. I was
got tongue-tied.
I was like a wagon coming down a hill too fast, and it just fell apart. Okay, I left off at Barcelona, Spain. Here we go. Barcelona, Spain, Winfield, West Virginia, Biloxi, Mississippi, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Peoria, Illinois, Katy, Texas, Toms River, New Jersey, Olive Branch, Mississippi, Asheville, North Carolina, Los Angeles, California, Spartanburg, South Carolina, Athens, Georgia, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Chicago, Illinois, Boynton, Virginia, and Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Shout out.
Nice. Man, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Wouldn't you just love to be down in the bayou, eating some good food, listening to the Doc G show?
That's what they're doing.
Clicking that subscribe button.
They're clicking that subscribe button on the LSU campus as we speak. Dunk. That's what's her name? Is it something with an L? Dunn.
Oh, Livy Dune. Yeah.
Livy Dune. There we go. Yeah.
So like the top searches in that LSU campus is probably Livy Dune, Doc G show.
And one or two. We don't know which one is one. We're
not going to say that one's better than the other, but
they're close. They're close. They're close. We thank you, Baton Rouge. We thank you. Claude, semi-regulars, 4-star listeners. Here we go. Columbus, Ohio. Shout out to the Ohio. New York. Shout out to you guys getting the listens in. Orlando, Florida. O-Town. Shout out to Mike's hometown there. Willits, California. Shout out to Willits. It's sort of one of our regular listens, but you know what? It was far enough outside that I was like, I'm going to count it. Sunrise, Florida. Ooh. I mean, we know it's sort of Fort Lauderdale, but you know what? We're going to shout out the specific places in South Florida, so that's all right. Barnsley, England, United Kingdom. Shout out to you guys. San Jose, California. Shout out to you guys. Weinsberg, Germany. There we go. Weinsberg.
Nice.
Yeah. Lexington, Kentucky. Shout out to you guys. Miami, Florida. South Florida again, coming in the clutch. Hold on. I got to get my pronunciation right here. Huaraquilla, Santiago, Mexico. Ooh,
nice.
There we go. Yeah. Thank you guys. I noticed there's a pretty good amount of, because I was looking, Mike, I wanted to make sure I got Huaraquilla correct when I pronounced it. So I went on YouTube. That's what I usually do, right? I look for a local to say the name of the city, and then I'm like, I think that was right. I trust that person, And I noticed there were a lot of YouTube videos about Huaraquilla, Santiago, of Americans moving there.
Really? Did they say why?
Well, apparently, it's got really nice weather. It's basically like, so it's at elevation. It's a little higher than Denver, but since it's so close to the equator, it basically stays between 70 and 80 year round.
Wow.
Yeah. And
best of both worlds. Good altitude, good temperature, Doc G show playing.
Apparently, I'm gonna guess, and I don't want to say that. Huaraquilla, Santiago, originales. I don't want to offend you guys, but I'm guessing it might be one of those Americans that moved down there. I don't know. Maybe it's somebody that's always been there, and they're like, no, I've been here my whole life, and I love the Doc G show. And if that's the case, I apologize. Regardless, tell a friend, guys. Keep it spreading in Mexico, please. For you, Claude, Charleston, South Carolina. There we go. Shout
Love
out
it.
to Charleston. Andover, Massachusetts. That would be the last one. Shout out to Andover. Claude, real quick, we did have one other story I didn't have time to get to here. Well, actually, I had two, but I'll save the other one. We'll do the other one some other time. We'll do this one here real quick. It's a weird one from Sandy Brook, Connecticut. A couple are accused, and I would say more than accused because they've been charged with this, of stealing railroad tracks to sell for scrap.
Word.
So, in an effort not to incriminate myself,
Okay.
when I was a kid,
Good start.
my relative and I would go to the train tracks, and I just liked, I was a real little kid. I liked the train tracks.
Yeah.
And we'd see if there were any spikes that had been loose or come out of the railroad, and we would just look at those spikes.
There you go.
And I'm hoping that it was something as simple as that, but it sounds like they were uprooting the entire track.
Yes. No, these weren't just the spikes. These were the ties. These were everything. So the Environmental Conservation Police were notified by the railroad company that two people were seen dismantling and removing sections of railroad track behind the Tractor Supply store in Old Sandy Brook.
Word.
Police said the couple dismantled and damaged about 0.4 miles of track.
Wow.
And sold them as scrap to the local scrap yards. The two folks that were stealing the railroad steel were caught, and they were charged with 8 different counts, including one of my favorite counts, Claude. First-degree criminal mischief. Yeah. Nothing gets you clout on the prison yard by letting people know you were involved in some mischief.
It sounds like Loki in prison.
Exactly. And being real intimidating when you're like, what happened? Oh, I don't know. Little mischief. Me and some raccoons got into a little something. I don't know. That's what happened. Like,
could you imagine? Like, take that for what it's worth. You guess what it is. I'm just going to leave it at mischief.
Mischief. I feel like that's going to be a rough time for you in the showers about 45 minutes later after you tell them you were involved in some mischief.
Yeah, the guy walks up behind you and says you want to get into some mischief, then you kind of regret saying that.
Not that mischief. Oh, God.
Jeez.
Yeah. Also, me, Claude, I'm not ever trying to promote criminality.
No.
But I gotta ask, did these criminals crunch the numbers on their hourly pay rate for dismantling these railroad ties?
Yeah, I doubt it.
Because, like, that's some tiring manual labor right there. Like, they spent a couple of days doing this. Plus, they're splitting this pay between two people. Like, how much are you getting for scrap steel? Because I don't think it's going to come out to that awesome of an hourly wage. By that, by that count, you might as well just get a job at McDonald's. Like,
look, move to California, get a job at McDonald's. You make $20 an hour.
And it's gonna and you'll pay $17 million for a house. But like, lastly, I gotta say, come on, local scrap yards. You know where that steel was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see two shady people coming in that don't look like they work for the railroad. It's not hard to tell. You know what? I don't think they got this by upstanding means. Like,
hey, where'd you get this scrap metal, a scrap steel? Oh, just some mischief.
Yeah, I just got a in my backyard, got a railroad circuit. That's it. Don't worry about it. Just taking it apart. Like, come on. Anyways, Claude, we are going to take a break. We are going to be right back, but we are going to hear from our guest. William Clark Green right here on the Doc G Show. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We are super happy to be welcoming a talented singer and songwriter and musician, Mr. William Clark Green. Will, how's it going?
Going good. How are you guys doing?
You know, I can't complain, man. Glad that spring has sprung, you know?
It sucks because in Texas, it's like so beautiful in Texas in the spring, but man, we all know what's coming, and it's just going to be 3 months of misery. So
I honestly think you guys got it a lot worse than us as far as like summer than we've got it in Florida. I mean, Florida gets hot, it gets humid, but like, I don't know. I find the humidness comforting.
Yeah,
there's something
I don't.
There's something about when I go to Texas in the summer that it does not feel comforting like a humidity. It feels like an oven. Like it just it's sun heat. It is bearing down on you, man.
It definitely, which is bizarre because you guys are a little closer to the equator than we are. But man, there's some parts of Texas, like Southeast Texas. I just don't even go from July to September. I mean, I just avoid it at all costs. But you know, West Texas obviously is unbelievable in the summertime. You get anywhere central, mid, south, it's pretty hot. So but you know, it's just it's part of
comes
our
with the territory.
Exactly. Yeah. But springtime right now is just unbelievable, and it's just we're enjoying it as much as we can right now. So
got to take advantage. Take advantage.
Absolutely.
Well, you've got let's see, one child that's under the age of 2. You got another that's like less than a month.
Yeah, it's Chapman got here February 20th.
Oh, wow.
I've got to realize I've got to be a good dad and remember birthdays. So our wedding anniversary is on the 26th of April. Benjamin's birthday is July 13th, and Chapman's birthday is February 20th. So my wife's birthday is the day before April Fool's.
Got to keep them in order. Got to keep them. You don't want to forget. You don't want to forget.
Absolutely not.
I'm guessing there's less sleep going on in the house because of the kids.
Not really. I mean, well, my wife's a rock star, but also we got really easy kids, or at least our first one, Benjamin, was. I mean, we were like, what is all the fuss about? Like, this is not that difficult. But our second one's been a little bit more challenging, just with the feedings and you know, all that stuff, and you know, but it's been a blessing, and we were both extremely ready for it, and welcomed it with open arms, and
nice.
And we both have siblings who have tons of kids, so we've seen all the disastrous situations kids can get into, so we feel like we're mildly prepared. But yeah, I mean, Benjamin's walking now, really running, so that's been he can get to that street pretty quickly, so we got the whole neighborhood watch on right now for him, making sure that he doesn't sneak out of the house. So that's the only scary part. So
doesn't know where he's going, but he's going.
No, he's going. He's going. So
that's I have a friend, and her son is like I think he's about the same age, and that's whenever she brings him where I am, he just goes places, and I want to stop him and be like, you don't have any plan. Where are you going?
I'm also like, man, like your dad did the same thing. I'm also like, where are we going? Like, where are we headed to?
They just sort of zip zap, and then you're just like, you didn't think it out. You gotta let's plan first. But
it's hard to judge. It's hard for me to judge when I did the exact same thing. But this morning was difficult. He's gotten to the stage where I take him everywhere with me, you know. Mm-hmm. But I had to fly out of Dallas this morning, and when I was leaving the house, he's just standing. We have a window to ceiling floor to ceiling window in our house, mm-hmm. and he's just standing there, just looking at me, you know, as I'm getting in my truck to leave, and he's just like, "Where are you going? And why am I not going with?" It's just the saddest thing. So that sucked this morning, but but I'll be back soon. So
Well, it's better, I guess, now than it used to be. As far as you can do this, at least when you're on the road, you can do Zoom, you can do FaceTime, things like that you used to not be able to do with kids.
Yeah, and that's FaceTime is awesome. I think he's finally understands what it was, but there was this moment of 6-month period where he's like, he's like, I don't understand why you're not here. Like, I can see you and I know it's you, but why are you not here? And so it would upset him more than anything. But now, especially if Bluey's on TV, it's like a quick hello and then he's back to watching Bluey. So, but man,
you're not important.
It's been an incredible experience for sure. So,
well, now I saw in an interview, I think this was a couple years ago, I got to ask about it. Along with small children, you live on a farm, and you have a donkey.
I don't live on a farm anymore. I lived in Easton. I lived in Easton for 7 years, and it's only an hour away from Fort Worth, which is where I live now. But I moved to the city, and I do. I do actually enjoy it. But I was at the farm yesterday or the day before yesterday, and I go out there quite a bit. But it's really the airport, and especially once I had a family, it's just, man, I can be anywhere in the country from DFW in 3 hours and be home. And my time, instead of having it'd be a 2.5 hour drive, probably from Dallas to the farm. And it's just like, also I don't really have a say. So like, I can't say we are going to live here and I'm going to leave all the time. Like, so at some point, my
wife
can't
have it all.
Yeah, exactly. So we get to go, and luckily I have 2 boys, so we'll have no. Obviously we have our house out, little camp house out there, and so we get to go quite a bit. And plus, having 2 boys, there's not going to be any shortage of being out there. So I told Danny, my wife, that she's pretty much screwed, because I was like, you have 2 boys, we're going to be at the farm all the time. So. So I'm just kind of letting her, she likes being in the city, and that doesn't bother me. Like it doesn't bother me like it used to. And plus, the way I travel, it's all about how fast can I get out and how fast can I get home. And that, time is the one thing we're all limited on. And that means a
huge benefit. Yeah,
exactly. So,
yeah. Well, now, are the donkeys still at the farm?
Oh yeah. We actually raise our own beef out there.
Oh.
We got 2 donkeys, Minnie, Jenny, and Fiona.
Yeah.
I've got about 7 mama cows, and I've got some leased property with a partner that we run some more cows on. But we sell half and whole beef that we finish out, and that's kind of been, we've done that for a couple of years, and it's been really fun. So
wow, what's the best cut?
Well, I mean, it just depends on what you like, but my new favorite's the leg shanks. I've been getting those and doing the Thor's hammer.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm a steak guy. I mean, I've really gotten, I used to be only ribeye, and fillets, but man, I've really gotten into sirloins lately, and I'm really enjoying them a lot. But I'm just a beef lover. I love beef. So
I am too. Well, I can't. I'm an all meat lover. What can I say?
Right. Yeah. It's been really enjoyable. I've been running cows out there, and like I said, I don't have that many. We probably sell about 20 beef a year, but it just got so redundant going from the sell barn, after my yearlings were out and taking the sell barn and I get my $500-$600, would probably be more now, but and it is a hobby. It's not a real time. I'm not a real cowboy or anything, but my grandfather's land, and he used to run some cows out there, and as a hobby for himself too. And it's just kind of a way to keep the tradition of the farm alive, and selling beef to people has been really fun. Delivering the beef to their doorstep has been a lot of fun, and it's just been fun communicating with people that way. And it's just another aspect for things that people get excited about. So
look, it's the meat man. Yes. Yes. Well, I do have to ask, because it's one of my favorite characters of all time from movies. Is your donkey as fun as Eddie Murphy in Shrek as the donkey?
Oh, well, I didn't name it. Fiona was actually rescue is the wrong word, but she was in her family, I guess her human family, died in a tornado in Cisco, Texas. Oh. And so my buddy ended up with her, and I called him, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about getting a donkey, and you can either get a good donkey or a bad donkey, and the bad donkeys are really terrible. It's kind of like a blue healer. You can get a good one or a bad one. Mm-hmm. And So I wanted to make sure I got a good one. And he was like, well, I've got one the kids ride, and she's so sweet. And we don't have enough room for her, so you can take her. And so I took her. And then he had he found a miniature one that looked just like her. And I was like, well, I'll take her too. So now we got two. So they're really for the kids and they keep the coyotes at bay. So
I don't know if you saw it, but over the pandemic, Arnold Schwarzenegger had a lot of video posts, and he has a donkey that basically just lives in his house.
Oh gosh.
It comes in like, I remember I was watching where they had the Manning cast for football games where Peyton and Eli would talk about the games and they'd bring people on. I was watching that. They bring Arnold Schwarzenegger on. He's talking to him, and just in the middle, all of a sudden, a donkey just comes into the screen, just sticks its head in, and I was like, I don't think I'd have a donkey inside my house. They don't
be that staged. I mean, it's got to be. Yeah, I wouldn't. We love Fiona, but she's got shelter out there. She's fine. So
yeah, I'm messy house guest. I don't know. Now that I've talked donkeys, perfect segue into music. So your career, it's super impressive. The climb that you've had for the last 16 years. I mean, playing Blue Light in Lubbock to releasing the 8 albums that you've released. It seems like it's been a steady climb since then. Did it feel like a steady climb on those years?
It's been a slow, steady climb, which is, who doesn't want to blow up overnight?
Yeah.
But we've learned our lessons the hard way, and they're heartfelt too. And we've worked hard to be where we're at. And I was talking with my wife the other day. I was like, if it all ended tomorrow, I'd be super proud of where I am today. And there is still a lot of room to grow, but I feel like I've done it in my head. I feel like I've surpassed my expectations. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's been, I think, hopefully slow and steady wins the race. I think we're firing all cylinders. I'm actually in Nashville right now with my producer, and we're working on a new record. And so I'm getting back in this, I took some time off for Chapman to get here. And so I'm looking forward to getting back in the swing of things. And the most important thing is I'm still excited to do it. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, I'm still love being on the road, and I'm a road dog, man. I always have been. I just always have been. That's just what I am. I love being on the bus. I love being around the guys. I love going home. Don't get me wrong. But I love being out there and interacting with fans and stuff like that. It's just really fun and humbling too. So, I think as long as I keep enjoying that, that's just part of, wanting to and loving being on the road and creating music. I mean, that's if that ever stopped, and writing songs. I mean, those are probably my 3 passions: is writing songs, performing them live, and recording them. And so everything else in the music business is not that fun. So, but my passion is still in those 3 things. So that's good. So even with creating a family too, which I was curious if that would survive it,
You can handle though the hours on the road as far as actually getting out there. Not too bad.
Oh yeah, I love it. And like I said, I mean, my wife makes it easy. And we make it going home a priority now. It's just not as, if we go out, like pretty much September to December, we're out that part of the year. And so I've lightened up my spring load, quite a bit to be home, especially February and March. Mm-hmm. And I've just prioritized flying home. Like I'll fly out on Wednesday and then I'll fly home Sunday, and I'll spend Sunday, Monday, Tuesday at home, and then fly back out Wednesday and the bus and the guys will stay out. But we've kind of prioritized flying in and out. That's really been the only adjustment, because we used to the whole band, everybody used to just stay out.
Yeah.
So now people kind of have to get home, or want to get home, and that's understandable. So
it's doable.
We try to prioritize that, and that's been the only deal. And really the airport system in this country is man, it's pretty easy. I mean, it really is. And even the layover flights aren't bad. Like I said, that's the reason Fort Worth works for us, is I can just be home I can catch a red eye or an early flight out and be home before noon, so.
Oh no, I'm just I get a little concerned now with those Boeing flights. I get a little oof.
Well, if you knew the dumb stuff I did in high school and college, I don't think airplanes is what's going to kill me. So, or if it hadn't already. So,
yeah, I mean, when you add up all the statistics of the stupid things that we've done in our lives, it's probably the lowest on the level. But I got to be honest, when I look out a window and see the cover of a engine coming off, that might give me.
That was a Southwest flight too, right?
Yeah.
Well, they have 2 engines, and that's the plane is redundancy. So,
Will's in the flight going. Will's in the flight. Hey, don't worry about it. There's one on the other side. We're good.
We just got life insurance. I just got life insurance the other day, so now I'm definitely not. That was the only concern, was leaving my wife with show of a life to handle. But after the life insurance deal, she even said, she was like, this doesn't give you permission to die. And I was like, well,
it does.
It never bothered me. I don't think about that stuff. I mean, when it's my time, it's my time. So,
well, let's talk about getting into music as far as like what got you into your style there. I saw, you mentioned Willis Allen Ramsey as far as the introduction to, Texas singer-songwriters. Your dad played you Willis. What made you sort of say like, hold up? What's going on here? Like what about that album hit you?
Yeah, I think it's just because I was racing BMX back then, and it's funny. Grew up in the country outside of Tyler. It's not so much anymore, but it was back then. And the whole thing was, I was racing BMX and wearing Jinkos and all that stuff, which is crazy to even think about. And I just remember that record, and of course we listened to George Strait and Garth Brooks and whatever was on country radio too at the time. that was a part of just growing up in Texas. It was just kind of our culture. But man, I really was going after the, Silver Chair and I remember Nirvana's, that record and Teen Spirit record, and then and all that.
Nevermind.
Chili Peppers, even Marilyn Manson's records, like crazy stuff like that. And then I just remember my, and plus that whole time in life, 7th, 8th grade, you don't think your dad knows anything. And that record, and I just remember liking it. I don't remember why, but I wasn't in that type of music, and I just kind of gravitated towards it. And a lot, especially that record. And then my uncle was a big fan of Guy Clark. And so we'd go to duck camp. He would always be listening to Guy Clark, and then he listened to Lyle Lovett a lot too. And so those ended up being my top 3s, I just kind of dove in, and I didn't even know that there was an underground, back then I didn't know there's an underground songwriter world. I thought it was like the NFL, like, your odds, you're not going to make it. That's what a country music singer was going to be. Your odds, you aren't going to make it, and you're going to die trying. You're going to waste your life trying. It's kind of like only the lucky select few get through.
Yeah.
But that opened this whole world of like, then I Robert O'Keefe and then Dub Miller and all these guys. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're making a living writing songs and traveling this whole underground folk country scene, Texas scene, and so, and then our scene during that time just started blowing up with the Randys and Ragweed and Robert Earl and all that stuff. And it created an actual industry that I just kind of fell into at the right time, because back then, with Willie and all that stuff, there was no, the Guy Clark never got played on the radio or that stuff, or none of that. Robert Earl never did either, really. So until the scene started supporting it. So it was just an eye opener. So and then the more I dove into it, the more I was like, oh my gosh, it's actually possible to not even be known really and have a career, and actually make a living. And so I've done a really good job of that.
Well, I mean, you brought up Robert Earl Keen, and I've heard you multiple times bring him up as far as sort of inspiration. What about, like, I mean, I'm guessing that was a little bit later on once you actually started looking at, song structure, things like that. What about his artistry that drew you in?
I mean, you talk about he's just in a different deal of. I mean, not top 5 songwriters are probably his top favorite songwriters. I mean, I'm sure Guy Clark and Lyle Lovett are in his. I mean, he's definitely up there. But for me, Robert Earl was when I was learning to play guitar in 7th and 8th grade. We were listening to his song Copenhagen. You know, we were listening. I was learning that on guitar. I wasn't learning Dublin blues on guitar. I was learning Robert O'Keefe songs. I was learning Road Goes On Forever and Copenhagen because that's what we were. You know, my buddies want to listen to. So he was more of but me and my cousin, we learned how to play guitar together. He was a freshman at A&M and I was going to high school in College Station. And yeah, that's what we did. We learned Robert Earl Keen and Steve Earle songs. And that's what we did. We'd sit around and we'd dip Copenhagen and we'd learn Robert Earl Keen and Steve Earle songs. And that's just what, you know, and that's just what we did. Yeah, we never learned the Guy Clarks and Lyles. They were probably, I don't know why we never did, but that's just what we did. So.
Well, you know, I sort of wonder, you mentioned a bunch and you see it and you, like you said, it opened your eyes to this sort of underground, sort of cultish music of Texas songwriters. And they're so revered. Even the bigger ones. I mean, you look at the Towns Van Sants and the Guy Clarks, the Rodney Crowells, these guys, and they've written for these huge stars. And you hear other artists talk about them. These massive artists are like, oh my God, just some of the best writing. Why does it stay sort of in this cult status? Do you have any idea why these like Texas stars sort of seem to stay in Texas and are just so well known?
Oh, I have my conspiracy theories.
Yeah. You want to give us any?
Yeah, I think it's changing right now, but I generally think that radio was controlled by labels, and I think, well, not controlled by labels, but I think they were highly influenced by labels. And I think labels didn't want independent bands to be on the radio because it didn't put any money in their pockets. And I think that's what happened. I think it's changing. I think Spotify is changing the game and all that. And luckily, I don't think the Texas music scene exploded until radio started supporting it. And I know program directors and music directors that got fired for playing independent music. It happened all the time. And they were really the forefront, in my opinion. What I saw the actual DJs and program directors who stood up to, I'm not even going to mention the names of the four people that run all the radio, but stood up to them to play the music and would do it regardless. They said, don't play this, and they'd play it anyways. And I think that, and because they would party with us and come to the shows, they were excited about it, and they saw the tons of people showing up. This is what our base wants to listen to. So I think there was definitely a rejection of it. Like I said, I don't think it happens that much anymore. I think the internet and Spotify has I don't think you can really make that complaint anymore, but there was definitely a push aside back in the day.
Yeah. Well, now, do you have any ideas, any thoughts on what makes Texas songwriters so good as far as their abilities?
Well, I think you get I think it's just our culture. I think we have a lot of Irish and Czech and Polish influence and Mexican influence. And I think all those cultures are extremely musical. And that's my theory, is that you get this everyone who came to Texas from these extremely musical backgrounds that also were, they were fleeing something. The Irish fled the potato famine. I don't know what everybody, that's just what my family did. And they came into Galveston and so I just think you get all these musical cultures, and then obviously you'll get dance halls, but you go to Ireland right now, there's a guy playing guitar in every single pub there. It's just, and that's what you see when you go to Texas. You see a guy playing guitar in every little bar here and there. And I think that's where I see it come from. I could be completely wrong, but that's just my guess. And I think that just the immigration to Texas was the reason for that. And I think the Polish and Tejano is extremely similar. I think they favored each other a lot throughout the years. I think they've intertwined. I think Tejano music, Norteño, and Polish music and Czech has all kind of been mosh posh there. I think that's, like you got Texas Tornadoes. I mean, they're freaking,
where you get the honky tonk.
yeah. I mean, it's Texas Tornadoes, this honky tonk and Tejano music, and or maybe it's Norteño. I still don't really know the difference. One has a horn and one doesn't. But yeah, I think that the people there are just extremely passionate about the music of their origin, and I think that's why Texas music, I think they're proud to have their own brand of music, because Texas has their own way of doing things.
Definitely on that one. Yeah. Well, I mean, would you say that's where you started seeing yourself as an artist, was when you first started listening to Willis, Alan Ramsey, sort of that era? Was that where you said, hey, I could do this?
No, I never thought it was possible. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't even think it was possible until probably my first album, Dangerous Man, 2008, which I was playing because I had to. I wrote songs because I just did. There was no, I'm going to write a song that's going to take over or anything, that stuff. I wrote because I just did. I don't know if I had to, I just did. And when I got to college, I hated college so much. I was playing a bar, make a little extra cash. So I started playing every night. I turned 21. And then when I turned 21, I found Blue Light. Blue Light was that's where people who toured played, people, guys in vans and trailers. And like, they actually that's where the people who they had touring acts come through. And I was like, that's where I need to play. And then once I started seeing how they operate, I just kind of mimicked how they ran their operation and how serious they took it and all that stuff. And I was just kind of that's when it really started, was when I started playing there. That was probably 2006 or 7. 2006 is when I started playing there. And, it's so long ago now, but it was a slow realization that I could, building up the confidence to say, hey, I can actually do this. I think I can do this. I don't remember thinking that until my first record. And my first record was produced by my songwriting professor at Tech, which was my only A in college. And and I remember that record, and I'd listen to other records of guys who had careers, and I wasn't bragging or boasting, but I was like, man, my record is better than theirs, And like, if they're doing it, I can I can, it wasn't like I can be better. It was like, man, if they're doing it, I think I can do it, And so that's what just gave me the confidence to shoot for it, And that's really what it was, is the confidence to kind of take your normal life plans and go chase the highway. I mean, that's what we've always done, so we've rode dogs since then.
Well, you're sort of the opposite of Don Henley. Don Henley at North Texas, I think the only bad grade he got was in music theory. I can't remember if he said, I think he failed it. I want to say he failed it, but then again, he was the lyricist more so than the melody maker and the Eagles. So,
Well, I mean, he's been part of probably arguably one of the best, one of the greatest American rock and roll bands of all time. I mean, that's the thing about school. You get some guys that come out of these music schools, and there is a pretentious with this. I don't know music theory at all. I don't even know what key we're playing in. I write songs. That's what I do. And I tell a lot of young artists, they always want the key to success. And it's like, man, I think it's just getting out there and doing it. And I always say, put your pavement.
Well, I've seen you say things along those lines. I saw in one interview, you said, don't be afraid of rejection. Yeah. We still get rejected to this day on some shows. And it's, I thought about that, and there's so many artists that I've talked to that there's that one point that somebody didn't let them do a show, or they, didn't sign them to a record label, and that just drives them. That's the thing that obviously there are other things, but that's, it's just a thorn in their side that they're always setting there, that spite of I'm going to show you that you turned me down on. Are there any of those moments in your career that you just sort of keep in the back of your mind, going to prove that person wrong?
No, I've always enjoyed the independence of it. I never wanted any, I never wanted to write, to play songs or sing songs I'd ever written. And that's just not something that happens with record labels. I knew that going into it. So it was really nothing that I ever even chased after. I was always chasing an independent career. I've always wanted to record songs that I've written. And it's been a struggle. It's not been the easy path. We I've even had some producers who were like, I want creative control over your record if I'm a producer. Well, that's just not the way I do things. And so respectfully decline, working together. And that's okay. I mean, they have the right to do that. There's no obligation, but I don't have any hard feelings with anybody with the early stuff. It's, the hardest part now is not ruining a relationship over money. That has been a 15-year relationship, which I take very seriously. And so, we have booking agents and managers that speak for me. And so it's kind of hard to battle. It's kind of hard to, they'll be like, what the this, blah, blah. I thought, blah, blah. And it's like, whoa. I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's, we've been doing it for so long that, the one thing that my booking agency has had a hard time is I just can't believe how many of these venue owners know you personally. One of the venue owners is my godson of Chapman, godfather of Chapman. And it's like, we booked a show there and they're like, what do you want to do? I was like, whatever he wants. Like, I know what the deal is there. It's going to be a 90% of the door, no merch split. We don't need a guarantee. Just freaking do it. Like, we know exactly what's going to happen. We've played it 15 times and we'll go and do it. So we don't need to try to beat them up. And, it doesn't need to be this back and forth. Like, so I think they've struggled with that with me because their job is to get me as much money as possible. But yeah, that's just the way it works. So, but those have been the hardest relationships to be, because it is a person. Business has become personal with a lot of those relationships.
Yeah, I was about to say, can't screw that one up.
No. And they're not. It's not willing. I'm not something I'm wanting to do, but it takes a little bit of your bargaining chip away. But which is fine because a lot of those people have helped me out since day one, and I'm not trying to do that. So but it's just the fact that some people just don't know that, and we don't find out until it escalates, So because I don't hear about it till it does. So.
Well, I mean, talking about going back to building up that sort of that following in Texas, you're in that vein. I mean, you look at Spotify, 4 out of the top 5 listening spots in Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and when you look at it, I mean, I'm sure like if you were to stack artists as far as like listening power in Texas, you got to be up on the list as far as how many people are listening to you in Texas. Do you think about like the translation, like, am I not doing enough touring in other places, or how can I get every other city in America doing what Texas is doing?
Yeah. I mean, I just think that Texas got the most, it got the most attention, for the last, when we've been outside, we're only able to get to the East Coast once a year. We're only able to get to we make a majority of our money in Texas. And so I'm not interested in throwing that away to chase something that maybe doesn't even exist, but we're happy to do it. We tour quite a bit outside the state. And honestly, I've invested a lot of money in touring outside the state. A lot of those shows are break even or lost shows, and I'm still willing to do that. I've always been willing to go lose my to spread my music. And I've always said, I used to drive from Lubbock to Nacogdoches to open up for someone for $150. I mean, that's an 11-hour drive for $150 when I was full band. I've never been afraid to do that if it means I can gain fans. And so the whole point of this deal is to gain fans, and we're accomplishing that up north. It's just, unfortunately, we don't get to do it as much as we do, and it's such a smaller scale, so the word doesn't travel. We're trying to cover so much ground as opposed to in Texas. And at the end of the day, we have families to feed, and so we make the majority of our nut in Texas, and so it gets the most attention. So we try to venture out as much as we can, and it's been working the last couple of years, which has been great. And I think the Panhandlers records have been helpful with that, and I think also our record, I think Spotify has been a major attribute to our success outside of the state.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah. Speaking of the Panhandlers, sort of a Texas supergroup there.
Yeah, it's fun. It's been stressful too.
Josh, John, Cleto. Now, Josh started the group because he wanted to do like a Flatlanders tribute.
Yeah, I'll give all the credit to Josh. So the story goes is the girls at Steamboat they did a Dixie Chicks tribute.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all the rage that year. I mean, everyone was talking about how awesome that show was. And it was Jamie Lynn Wilson, Bree Bagwell. I'm trying to think who else was in that group. I think Heather Stalling was in the group.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drawing a blank of who else, but it was 4 or 5 girls maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But it blew everyone away, and everyone's talking about how fun that show was. Well, me and Josh were there here, and Josh was like, "Hey, I talked to John Dixon, who is the promoter on the show and the owner of the festival, and he was like, we should do a Flatlanders tribute next year, and I'll get, just off the top of my head, I'll get Will, John Bauman, who's probably the biggest Flatlanders fan I've ever met, and then Cleto and Josh." And Josh asked me, I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'm in." So, and of course, Josh's head is Josh's head, and Josh's wheels are spinning. He goes, "Well, before the show next year, we should come out with a Flatlanders tribute record." And then I was like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, that sounds fun. Why not? Like, that record is really cool. And like, it'd be really fun to do." And honestly, I was at a point in my life where I needed a career where I needed some outlet other than serious. It'd be fun to go hang with the boys and do something serious. And then it morphed into, well, if we're going to do a record, what are we going to call it? We need a name. And I was like, and then somebody mentioned the Panhandlers. Like, okay, well, that's awesome. Panhandlers, do the Flatlanders. Like, that would be cool. And then it was like, well, we were picking out songs for the record. Well, it'd be cool if we gave highlight to some of the songwriters who never got any highlight. Like, there's a Charlie Stout song called West Texas in My Eye, which is, and then there's some other songs, like there are some Telly Allen songs that never got cut. There was a Guy Clark song called Santa Fe. Like, and then it was like, oh yeah, instead of doing all Flatlander stuff, let's do that. Like, that would be even cooler. And then it was like, well, hey, we're all songwriters. Why don't we write some songs for it? And then we'll do a few covers from guys, and then we'll do some. And so it just morphed into this deal. It was never the intention from the beginning to do it the way we're doing it, but I am glad of the way and happy the way we're doing it. And anything, West Texas in My Eye, the guy who wrote that, Charlie Stout, I mean, we always knew that was a great song. Yeah. We always knew it. And to give it the platform that it needed was probably the most proud thing I've done for another artist, for a guy that no one's paid attention to. And I mean that with respect.
Yeah. Should have paid attention to.
Correct. Yeah. And it was just awesome to see how proud he was of it. And, and still to this day, I mean, he's done a lot of my photography. He's helped me out. He helped me out with our Cotton Fest logo for our festival. And he's always been a friend, and Charlie. And so it's just really cool to see him. I think he was emotional about it. And it was just really cool to see, like, he knew that song was great. We knew it was great. It was good to have the affirmation that it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now you got, I mean, like you mentioned, you write some, you write new material on these Panhandlers albums. And I was wondering, like you said, you're all songwriters. You're all great songwriters. How do you bring songs to the group? Because I feel like if I were you and I was like, I came up with a great song and it was this idea, and I'd be like, well, I'm going to keep this one for myself. And then I'll bring, like, do you guys just do the writing for the Panhandlers all together, all like as one, or how does that work?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I wrote a song called Whole Lot of Lubbock and the other day, and with Gary from Muscadine Bloodline. And I'm thinking about using that one for we're going to use it for promo for Cotton Fest. And I told, when I wrote the song, I was like, hey, this is a possible Panhandler song. And it doesn't mean I have to, but we can use it. And I'm deciding to use it to promo my festival with that song, which makes sense. And, but no, we do writing retreats together, and some guys will bring songs to the table that they wrote that'd be a good Panhandler song. And it's really, there's no like, hey, you need to save that song. I mean, everyone has the freedom to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And no one's like, that's BS. You're not going to save that for this record, for this.
Yeah.
Project. It's like, I mean, we've always just kept it lighthearted and fun, and do what you want. And it's also, I think even more so, we're so afraid to step on people's toes that it's really hard to get stuff done, because it's just like, well, I don't want to, in the studio, I don't want to offend, and I don't want to push or pry. It's like, so we're still learning that dance. We've gotten a lot better at it, but the first record was really just, we're all just tiptoeing around, in circles, not, accomplishing, not getting anything done. But I would definitely say that Josh has been the headhunter of this deal, and he's gotten everybody organized, and he's been the biggest cheerleader of it. And with my own admission, there have been times that I've not been the most excited person about the project, and so he's powered me through that stuff. And Josh, like I told Josh, I said, Josh, sometimes these things, may me off or whatever, but typically you're right about everything, and he always has been. He always has been. So I'm going to choose to shut up and listen to you on this one. That's what I've done. So
have you seen a positive into your music from it as far as
I mean, I think fans get to see, like my brother-in-law is a prime example. He's not a big fan of my music, but he loves the Panhandlers. And that's great. I mean, that's a positive. Someone knows who I am and likes what I do, because I'm writing those songs too.
Yeah.
So it's just not what I have chosen to base my career off of, but of course it's a positive. And and so I've definitely been, and I'm proud of the work we've done. It's just really a logistics nightmare, and so that's been the hardest thing we've had to deal with. There hasn't been any egos or things like that we've had. They're just that are unbearable. Of course, we're all lead singers, we all have some sort of egos, but I think the project has been really fun. It's been lighthearted, and on stage, it was super stressful at first, but now that we've gotten into a groove, I think it's been such a fun way to do a show, to be part of the band and not the lead singer the whole time, which is really fun.
I'm going to be honest. I'd be a little bit offended if I were you and my brother-in-law didn't like my music just a little bit.
No, I mean, there's music I don't like. I mean, why is my expectation everyone should like my music, but there's music I don't like?
I'd still want him to lie to me. At least lie to me. Just tell me yes to my face. Come on, man.
Well, he likes the whiskey on my bus, so I can.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Well, you've mentioned it a couple times. Let's talk about it before we go here. The festival. It's your own festival. Very cool. It's going on June 27th to 29th.
Yeah.
By my count, this is the 6th Cotton Fest. Is that right?
Yes. Because we missed the COVID year we missed out on. So it should be the 7th, but it's the 6th. And it's been just like everything else, been slow growing. We started, it was a 1-day deal, and it's grown to 3 days now. And now we have a golf tournament, and we have a 501c element to it now. We raise money for cotton farmers and ranchers in the Panhandle. We've been heavily involved in the fires that have been going up there. And I've just my goal is to make it a BYOB camping communal event. And that has always been my goal. And we've had some really cool help this year from some people that we've brought in, and it's supposed to be a really fun year. And shout out to my manager, Harrison. He's done a great job of helping me out with the lineup, and Panhandlers on it, which has been really fun. The lineup's I'm really proud of the lineup, and we invested a little bit more this year, and it's just been Lubbock. I always felt like Lubbock needed a festival that was more on the more the side of a communal. Like I never understood why Lubbock, Texas. I think the statistic is they have 90% of the U.S. cotton is grown within a 90-mile radius of Lubbock, Texas.
Wow.
And so I just don't know why they don't have a Cotton Fest. So well, let's do it. I initially was going to call it Stripper Fest because the I guess y'all call them harvesters, but we call them cotton pickers or strippers. And so they're called strippers out in Lubbock, and down in Brazos County, they call them pickers. But that's the machine. I thought it'd be hilarious to do it.
That'd be a good,
But the problem is where we do it's right next to the strip club. So
that might actually really work for them.
I know my manager. He was like, "Man, if you're really wanting this to be a communal event, you should probably name it just Cotton Fest." Not Strip Fest. I was like, "I'm going to listen to you on that one." So,
you could have cotton in parentheses, really small, and then Stripper Fest, Cotton Stripper Fest.
Or just do a T-shirt that says "I love my stripper" or something.
There you go. There you go. Well,
it's became the most rewarding thing, especially our 501c. It's called High Cotton Relief Fund, which I think we created that year 3. And I have a committee of about 10 guys that we find families and that are in need. We paid for a lot of different stuff, and every year we kind of add to it. But we've raised over $1 million, and we've donated it all back inside the community to people. You know, like we had a farmer's daughter who got ejected from a car, and they were in Houston for a year, and we paid we didn't pay for any hospital bills because that stuff gets ridiculous. But we paid for a nice hotel room across the street for 300 days. You know, nice. And that's the kind of stuff that we do, and it's been super rewarding to get the feedback from the community on that. And I think the word's kind of out. It's been my most prideful thing that I've done in the music business so far is create that. And Cotton Fest too. It's been a really fun deal. If you get a wild hair, you're more than welcome to come. So
yeah, it's we got you mentioned the great guests. We got one group there coming out of my hometown, Commonwealth of Virginia. There, 49 Winchester.
That's right. Yeah, we're excited to have them. I didn't know that was your hometown.
It is. They're right down from where I grew up. They're about probably an hour, 45 minutes, somewhere like that.
Yeah, and I've been watching them recently, and they've been their music's just fantastic. We're happy to have on the bill.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. Well, now you mentioned the golf tournament. Do you get involved in the golf?
Oh yeah, I'm there all week. Golf tournament's normally the Monday before the festival, but we're doing it Tuesday this year. And we give away a golf cart. We do it's it's a party. So it's my wife says, she goes, well, I know you're going to act like a dip on the golf tournament, but on day after we're having family night. And I was like, yeah, okay. So it's a really fun golf tournament. We do obviously we bring in like Terry County Tractor.
A few drinks.
Yes, and Terry County Tractors brings in like a Kubota, and so instead of like a Kubota, like 110 horse cabin air tractor, so instead of winning like a Cadillac, you hole in one for a tractor.
Yes,
it's so awesome, and all my buddies come to it, and we all everybody instead of promoting their businesses, everyone just buys the sign to talk about their friends. So and then
that's good. I like that.
Eggs all over the course, and we have food. All my buddies are cooking, and it's just a really fun event. We have in the morning we have a morning flight and then afternoon flight, and then we have all the flights. We have 2 flights that win the morning, 2 flights that win the afternoon, and then they all compete against each other at the evening for a whole 3-hole shootout, and it gets pretty crazy. So it wasn't even my idea. My buddy was like, hey, we'd love to contribute to High Cotton Relief Fund. What about starting a golf tournament? I was like, I'm all for it. If you guys run it, if you guys do all the stuff for it, I'll happily answer questions and have your back. And I was like, but I don't have time to mess with it. So they Alex and his wife Meredith pretty much run it all. And they got Whataburger to sponsor it this year. So there's going to be Whataburger taquitos.
Wow.
So we're excited about it. So
talk about a Texas entity. You got one right there.
So everything keeps growing, and with that, and that's just been, Cotton Fest, I'm hoping, is a part of my life for a very, very long time. So
well, the last thing on Cotton Fest that I did notice in the flyer, it has also barbecue cook-off there.
Yeah, pretty much. There's typically about 15 to 20 teams that enter every year, and it's just fun. We aren't sanctioned. We tried to sanction it one year, and we had a lot of outsiders just come who didn't care about the festivals. The barbecue competition is for Cotton Fest goers. We don't need people trying to get points and then leaving right after they're done cooking.
Yeah.
We keep it small and tight, and like I said, communal. We do goat roping. This year we're doing mutton busting, and we bring out a mechanical bull, and it's just a fun thing. So it's fun to see the kids goat roping and doing mutton busting and everyone in their campers. It's just a really fun time. So
I love it. Get out there, listeners, to the Cotton Fest. Well, now, I mean, sort of to bring it full circle, you were talking about your cattle there at the start. Like you said, you're living in Fort Worth. If I come to Fort Worth and I ask you what's the best place barbecue wise, what place are you telling me I need to go to?
Well, the best barbecue in Fort Worth, and I might get home, is Brick's Barbecue. I have not eaten at all of them, but Brick's is up there. Panther City is up there as well. They're so close. It just depends on if you like sweet barbecue or salt and pepper barbecue. Salt and pepper guy. Brick's is it doesn't get, if it gets any better than Brick's, it is by that much. I mean, it is good barbecue. So
I love it. I love it. Well, Will, we are up against the break, man, but I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
yeah, thanks for having me on, Doc. And if you end up making the Cotton Fest, let me know.
For sure. Listeners, make sure you stream all of Will's music. If you're out in Lubbock, like he said, make sure you hit up the Cotton Fest June 27th, 29th. Right now, let's take a listen to All You Got right here on the Doc G Show. And we are back here on the Doc G Show. You just heard William Clark Green. Fantastic guy, Claude. Fantastic guy. He did not seem concerned about flying at all. And I'm not trying to jinx him about being concerned with flying. I'm just saying the Boeing issues concern me. That's all I'm saying. You know, I got to be honest. I in the past, Claude, I have never went on a air flight and actually looked at what airplane I was going to be flying in. But I got to be honest, if I do anytime soon, I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. I am definitely going to be looking at it. And I got to be honest, if it's Boeing, I'm not going on that flight.
Man, I'll tell you, the jokes about Boeing, they've been pretty funny.
It's rough,
it's
man.
It's not funny in the reality, the grand scheme of things, because it's life or death, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, give us all your money, but also good luck on that plane.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're doing the best as far as standardization and safety.
No.
Need to come back to that. You missed it, actually, in the show in between where you were on, and then Mike came back, and then you came back there. Mm-hmm. I had a story about that, and that's actually what reminded me of it to talk to William about it. But I had this story where I don't know if you saw this. It's just a couple weeks ago on a Southwest flight. The engine cover just came off of the engine.
I did see that.
Yeah. Did you actually see the video?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. The person took it right next to the wing. Yeah.
And the thing that blew me away, which I told Mike, no one seemed to care in that plane. That thing was coming off, and they were just like, "Hey, is that the engine cover?" Yeah, it's just coming right off. Oh, Yeah, I was like, if I were on that plane, I would be sweating. I would be screaming. I'd be like, "Oh, somebody get me off of this plane!" Like, just it's crazy.
It'd be like that woman that went viral for yelling that something wasn't real.
I was about to say, except in my case, it makes sense.
Because it's very real.
It's an engine falling off. But regardless, thanks to William Clark Green. If you haven't got his newest album, you got to get out there. You got to listen to his newest album. It's good stuff. And if you're going to be in Lubbock in June, you got to go to the Cotton Festival. It seems it's going to be a good time. You got barbecue, you got cornhole, you got golf, you got concerts. It's got everything, man. It's just it's a one-stop shop. It's better than south of the border. They should have some billboards, Claude, just up and down the highway there. But we need to move on to the fastest growing segment in the world, Mike C Top 3. Claude, last week we had the little mix-em up of the summer blockbusters, which
I'm going to put that on me. I'm going to put that one on me. I think I misunderstood. I think it worked out great, but
I was about to say, to our credit, we gave the listeners 6 great movies. Mm-hmm. So there you go. But this week we're still in the movies, and this week we're going with what are our top 3 foods that you get at the movies. What are the top 3 things your go-to? Now, full disclosure, Mike knows this. I think any listener that's listened to the show for, a consistent period knows this. I haven't seen a movie in the movie theaters in a very long time, Claude.
I've got one that you need to go see.
Oh, okay. What's that?
I know superhero movies have been exhausting for a lot of people.
A little bit.
I'm going to throw it out there.
Okay.
The new Deadpool movie.
Okay.
Because it has Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine.
In the yellow suit.
In the comic accurate yellow suit, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that does sound like a pretty good one to reintroduce myself.
I was a little bummed I didn't see Oppenheimer in theater.
Yeah.
I saw it afterwards. It was great. But I'm telling you, this might be the one for you.
Okay. Well, yeah, I will tell you up front. Now, Mike is a huge Ryan Reynolds fans, you know?
Yeah, he's great.
He would love to get in his pants. Me, I am a little offended by him because he's too good at everything and his life's too awesome. Nothing against him. It's just way too amazing. I mean, his wife is one of the most attractive women on the planet. He sold his drink company for millions and millions of dollars. He owns he manages a soccer team.
Yeah, him and Rob.
He's unbelievably funny. He's just got too many things going on. It's too much for me. And I got to be a little bit of a hater and be like, no.
Yeah, I'll tell you, though, it sounds like we're lining up one of the next shows coming up to have the musical guest appearance by Kendrick Lamar.
Yep.
And then we'll have Ryan Reynolds as a co-host.
That sounds perfect. You know what? That sounds let me get my people to work on that, Claude. We'll see if they can commit. They might not be able to commit right away. I know they've got a couple of engagements. But anywho, these have been historically my favorite foods. Now, do you have any honorable mentions, Claude?
Yeah, I think that when you talk about the foods, obviously you got different categories. You got your real food, you have your snack food, then you have like your candy, which can be a snack too.
Sure.
I'm gonna throw one honorable mention out for the sour worms. What are the gummy worms?
Yeah.
So, there's different brands depending on where you go.
Sure.
But it's always nice because I'll have obviously something in my top 3 that's a little more salty. The sour goes really nicely with that.
I'm a very savory person. Yes, on the salt side. Now my honorable mention is also not salty. That would be just the classic peanut M&Ms.
Yeah.
It's not going to make my top 3, but honestly, it could have. I could have put it up there. I love it. They've never steered me wrong.
It is a classic.
There has never been a time that I have put a peanut M&M in my mouth and said, why'd I do that? It's always been a reaction of, oh, that was a good decision. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that. So hats off to the M&Ms, peanut M&Ms. My number 3, I'm going classic again. Theater popcorn. That's my number 3. Theater popcorn.
Wait, what?
At number 3.
Number 3, you're gonna find my number 1 really weird, but number 3, just the classic popcorn. I love it. In fact, right now I'm much bigger of a popcorn fan than I've ever been in my life, Claude.
I think it's something that happens the older you get. It's a light snack. And it tastes so good.
Claude? Come on.
Look, we were there for the start of American Idol.
That's true. That is true. You are correct, Claude. Yes. No, you're right. It's a non-committal snack.
Yeah.
And as listeners know, when I was talking to ZZ Ward last summer, it's high in fiber. It's a pretty nutritious snack. If you're choosing a snack, it's much better than a fried chip. I'm going to tell you that right now.
100%.
Much better. But it's in my number 3. And obviously, I love when they have the butter and salt it yourself. When you can just go bonanzas on that thing and just have this much liquid. Listeners, I've got about 1 inch of liquid in my glass left. You got about that much butter at the bottom of that popcorn. Oh man, get out of town. Claude, you're number 3.
My number 3 is a good old-fashioned hot dog.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you got to be a little careful on how much you put on the hot dog. Do you
sure.
want the chili and the cheese? They give you that good nacho cheese with it.
It's dark in there. You're not going to be able to see it. You got to play it cool.
Yeah, it's so good. Sometimes you just want some ketchup and mustard, and that's it. But I love a hot dog at a ballpark if I'm at a baseball game.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, if I'm just a little bit hungrier than wanting a normal snack, then that one hot dog is really, really good in a movie.
Amen. I'll agree with that.
It's on those like slow rollers, the old school machine.
Oh yeah. You're not really sure how it gets cooked. And that always reminds me of the Seinfeld where Kramer's trying to convince Lloyd Braun that he's not crazy, and Lloyd Braun asks to get the hot dog that's been in the movie theater for like the last 50 years. And he's like, 1 hot dog, please. And the guy's like, what? You'd have to be insane to eat that hot dog. And Kramer's like, what? He's not insane. I'll eat the hot dog. And he eats it and he throws up all over the place. It's awesome.
Well, listeners, look, we're not eating 50-year-old hot dogs.
No.
Maybe like 3-4 day old hot dogs.
I've been known to go later than that. But my number 2, Claude, this is a weird one too. This is pretty out there. For some reason, my brother, when we would go to movie theaters, his like go-to thing, and I just went with him because I'm his brother, he always loved snow caps.
Ooh. I haven't had a snow cap in a long time.
That was his go-to, man. He just loved snow caps. That was the go-to theater. And listeners, if you don't know a snow cap, it's just a chocolate kiss, a mini chocolate kiss, or chocolate chip, if you will, covered in just little teeny white, like basically sprinkles.
Like a larger sugar dot.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know if that is a good explanation.
No.
But you know what I mean.
I do. And I mean, they're don't get me wrong, they're definitely good. But like if he wouldn't have loved them, I probably wouldn't have gone to them, But now it's like one of those nostalgia things. You're like, oh man, snow caps, like. So, anyways, your number 2, Claude.
My number 2 is also a candy.
Okay.
Whoppers.
Oh,
look!
Yeah.
Growing up, my mom, when she'd take me to go get ice cream, I'll never forget. I was always, I want chocolate or vanilla, the basics.
Of course.
And my mom, bless her heart, said one day, "You should try a chocolate malt milkshake." And then I loved it. And fast forward, I don't know how much longer after the first time I tried this, she had a box of Whoppers. And she said, "Remember that milkshake that I let you try? This is the candy version of the milkshake."
Man.
And every time as a kid I would go to the movies, I had to get a box of Whoppers.
She's giving you the gateways left and right, man.
She did. She introduced me through a trickle effect of multiple great things. And anyway, I would highly recommend get you a box of Whoppers.
So many malts, man. It's a good flavor.
Yeah.
My number 1, this is where it gets weird, Claude. My number 1, nachos.
Sweet.
Oh, it's a good one.
Nachos. I know like a lot of people don't get them because they are weird, and they're they're almost always very low quality.
It's a little stale.
Yeah.
But the cheese is good.
They're a little stale. The cheese, you don't know where the cheese came from.
No.
It is just like, it is a complete just figment of somebody's imagination. It is just this weird yellow goo. But it is so good, man. And I that's my go-to. It's like you said with the ballpark. That's my go-to at a lot of places.
It's a good one. It's a good one. One chip tastes like it's dipped all the way into a bottle of salt, and then the other chip doesn't have any salt, but
exactly
they meet in the middle.
I even like any high school sporting event that was not that I was not playing in, that's what I was getting. I was getting nachos. That's what was going down. But all right, what's your number 1, Claude?
I mean, my number one, I feel it's a cop out, but I can't help it. And we already
Popcorn?
talked about it with yours. It's popcorn,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's the inclusiveness of, like you said, the butter
Mhm.
and the salt.
Oh yeah.
I want the whole station to the side, and I want to be able to, turn the bag while the butter goes in.
Oh
and,
yeah.
then get the salt on the top, mix it up a little bit in the
Amen.
bucket, and you got to do
Amen.
it right if you're going to do it.
Speaking to that, Claude, here at home, that's what I have now that I make my own popcorn. I got the oil sprayer,
Ooh.
Yeah, so you can
That's
really
good.
and then I got a big old metal bowl that I toss it in, and you get that metal sprayer on there, you toss it around. You can save yourself on getting too much oil on there and hating yourself because you can get it distributed properly.
And for those who do not know, there is such a thing. Be forewarned here. If you've never gone crazy with the butter machine, there is such a thing as a little too much butter.
Amen.
You do want, like you said, the little inch down in the bottom of the bag, but when you approach that 1.5 to 2-inch mark,
you
might end up with an upset stomach.
You could regret it. It's true. It's true. All right, listeners, I will be giving the next clue at the start of the show. Not clue. I don't know what I'm talking about. The next topic for the top 3 at the start of the show. But Claude, we have 2 birthday suits left. I'm gonna give you the one that is harder first. So maybe we can get that one. Because I'm really, I don't know about this one.
Okay.
We'll see.
I don't know if look, last week I struggled with David Beckham's wife, so Posh Spice.
Which, by the way, listeners, for her birthday, the Spice Girls reunited.
Oh yeah, I sent you the thing. I'm glad we're talking about it.
That's right. The Spice Girls reunited, listeners. So get excited. I think it was just for like 5 seconds with David Beckham filming it, but still, they were together. So there you go. Claude, here's the clue. I'm going to just give you the full-on clue. Born on April 24th, 1942 in New York City. Our birthday suit wearer started singing at a young age. She was singing at weddings and summer camps by the age of 9. She decided she wanted to be an actress a few years later. Her first Broadway appearance was in The Diary of Anne Frank. She eventually started performing in nightclubs. Her first television appearance was on The Tonight Show in 1961. She signed a record deal with Columbia Records in 1963. Her first album won 3 Grammys. She returned to Broadway in 1964, starring in several shows. Over her career, she has released over 50 studio albums. She's been nominated for 43 Grammys, and she's been in more than 23 films. The New York Times called her one of America's 3 most beloved divas, along with Dolly Parton and Patti LaBelle. Now, the movie role that I know her the best with is in Meet the Fockers. She is Ben Stiller's mom in Meet the Fockers.
Oh, man.
Name that birthday suit wearer.
I should know this. I haven't seen Meet the Fockers in a long time, but I should know this. And it's funny because while you're reading all that off, Dolly Parton was like the only thing that kept popping in my mind. And I'm like, she's not from New York. Dolly Parton wears cowgirl boots.
Tennessee. I don't think any of the other movies will help you. She was in Prince of Tides. She was in Hello Dolly a long time ago. She was in Star is Born a long time ago in 76. She was in The Mirror Has Two Faces, The Way We Were in 1973, The Guilt Trip in 2012. But yeah, definitely what I know her the best for is Meet the Fockers.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lay my sword down on this one. I'm not gonna get it, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 hints. We'll see if you can get it from the 2 hints. Her initials BS, And a lot of people call her, if I am correct, Babs.
BS. You're going to say the name, and I know I'm going to know who it is.
Oh, you definitely will.
All right, go ahead.
Barbara Streisand.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Barbara, but a happy birthday to you.
Yes, turning 82.
Wow.
82. Yeah, wild. Okay, so you can still get 2. You can get 2 out of 3.
I'll take that. That's more wins than losses.
I am pretty confident.
I'm not really giving you the confidence to believe in me the last 2 shows. So
yeah. I mean, I got to be honest. I expected a little bit with Barbara Streisand. You know, I mean that's a toughie. That's a toughie. But anyways, well, I mean, again, it's all relevant. Depends on who you are, if it's a toughie or not.
That's
but anyways, here we go. Born on April 24th, 1964 in Jefferson City, Missouri. He got his first big break by hosting BET's Comic View and then Def Comedy Jam. He co-starred with Steve Harvey in The Steve Harvey Show, and he is one of the original kings of comedy, along with Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, and D.L. Hughley. Who am I leaving out? Name that birthday, Sue Ware.
Oh, man. Any other hints in there that I can?
I mean, at one point, so he was in Barbershop. He was in Barbershop 2. He's in Madagascar as far as one of the voices in Madagascar. He was a host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for like a year. And he starred in the sitcom The Neighborhood as well.
Oh man. For whatever reason, I wanted to say Terry Crews.
No.
And then I know it's not Terry, and then I wanted to say Ice Cube. It's not Ice Cube.
No. He goes by one name. Like, if I say the second part, it'll sort of give it away.
Nas. I'm way off. I'm disrespecting people now. I think I might finish 1 for 3 today.
Oh, it's tough. You're gonna know this one too, man. You're definitely gonna know this one. Cedric the Entertainer.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Barbara and Cedric, I am so sorry. Happy birthday to both of you.
I mean, I'm surprised you didn't get said.
I know that was rough. I love Steve Harvey. I like anything Bernie Mac related. I should have known it when you mentioned some of those names.
It's all right. Claude. We ended it on a rough one there. It's okay. It's okay because we've got plenty of great shows coming up. And you know what, listeners? Even though Claude's not coming back for the next show, you know he's going to be back. He's going to be back, and we're going to have to talk. We're going to have to talk finals, or at least conference finals, sometime soon. That's going to have to happen. We're going to have some
birthday suits.
Oh, we're going to do it. We are going to do it. But listeners, we have some fantastic shows. Next week, we have the great Quinn Sullivan on the show. Just such a fantastic guitarist. We've got some other folks in the works, but for now, we've got to wrap it up. I've been your host, Doc G. With me, as always, for the last 2 weeks, that is, none other than Claude, Fly Till I Die, Lathan.
I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for letting me on, as always. And listeners, can't wait till the next time. Appreciate all you.
Listeners, make sure you let me know you want to hear Claude back. Let me hear it. Be like, why isn't Claude on the show? We need Claude. Start chants. Start some protests in the streets. It's a worthy cause, listeners. But until then, we got to wrap it up for this week. I have been your host, Doc G. And until next week, zip it up and zip it out.